Hey there, this is Arthur Hill, Chief Technical Strategist at TrendInvestorPro.com. You are tuned in to Next Level Charting. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. If you're watching this video on YouTube, and you like it, of course, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. So today we're going to break down the trend composite. I'm going to show you what makes it tick and how we derive the signals from this indicator. Then I'll show you some typical performance metrics for trend following indicators to help set expectations. And then we'll look at some signals within the S&P 500, stocks within the S&P 500. So the trend composite, as its name suggests, is an aggregator of signals. What I do is I take 5 trend following indicators and I take the net result of those 5 signals. So we have Bollinger Bands, a break above the upper band or a break below the lower band. We have Keltner channels, which are similar but based on the average true range. We use Keltner channel breaks as well. We have the commodity channel index, and I'm only basing it on closing prices instead of the intraday high and low. And a surge above 100 is bullish, a surge below minus 100 is bearish. Then we look at Stochh close, which measures the level of the close relative to the high-low range. And I'm looking for when the price is in the upper half of the range to be in an uptrend or in the lower half to be in a downtrend. And then the direction or the moving average trend. And it's 125-day simple moving average. And I'm basically just doing the 5-day rate of change. Is the moving average rising positive rate of change or falling negative rate of change? And so this makes the trend composite always an odd number. All right, it's going to be -5, -3, -1 when you're in a downtrend. It's going to be +1, +3, +5 when you're in an uptrend. And so let's look at how these signals are derived on a chart. So here I am on Stock Charts ACP, and if you're interested in this plugin or any other plugin on Stock Charts ACP, if you go down to the bottom right-hand corner and you click on the plugins icon there, you can see all the plugins available, and there's the Trend Investor Pro Indicator Edge. And you can click on that link to learn more about this plugin and the indicators. Now, over on the left here is where you can add the indicators. So at the upper left, I've got chart settings, and I'm going to open that up. And what I've done is I've added the indicators for the trend composite. There you can see I've got Bollinger Bands 125, 1. That means one standard deviation above and below the 125-day moving average. The Keltner channels, 125 days, and 2 ATR values. And these are 125-day ATR values above and below that 125-day EMA. And you notice that all these indicators are built around 125 days. That's 6 months, because that's my personal sweet spot when it comes to identifying changes in trend. 1 year is getting to be a little bit too long for me. 3 months is too short. So I like this 6-month window. Then we have Stochh close, which is also based on 125 days. We got CCI close and the direction of the moving average. And so I put all these on the chart so we can see how this works. So we've got an example using QQQ. The blue shading would be for the Bollinger Bands. And then you can see the red lines in the middle are for the Keltner channels, which are tighter. But still, you get above the upper bands and above the upper channel, then you have a bullish signal. And you can see we got one of these in. We got the channel breakout earlier, and I'll put on the crosshair so we can identify that. So if we look down, we got a channel breakout, Keltner channel breakout in mid-April, and then a little bit later in mid-May, we got a Bollinger Band breakout. And if we look at the other indicators, we can see Stochh close moved above 60. And so that means price is in the upper half of its 125-day range easily when it's above 60. And that's why it turns green. And it stays that way until it moves below 40. And when it's below 40, that means price is in the lower half of its range. And then we got the CCI, Commodity Channel Index, based on closing prices. And we can see it was a little later. It did it in May when it turned bullish. And then we have the direction of the 125-day moving average. And it turned bullish there in early April when it turned up the 125-day moving average. Now, the reason I'm using 5 indicators is because you never know which one is going to trigger when. Sometimes these indicators lag, sometimes they lead. And by using an aggregate of these 5, I think we can get a better idea of when the trend is changing. And when the majority, when 3 of 5 are bullish, then you have a +1 for this indicator. So now I'm going to open up and add the trend composite, and we'll see how those signals look. But before I do that, notice that we had a break below the lower Bollinger Band and the Keltner channel here in QQQ here in January. We got Stochn close moving below 40. We've got CCI close moving below -100, and the 125-day SMA turned down. So that basically reverses the signal that we had all the way back here in April. And that was a long signal and a big gain. So here is the NASDAQ 100 ETF QQQ with just the trend composite. And I'll open it up a little bit so we can see a little bit more detail in that indicator. So we can see here that it hit +1 there in mid-April on the 16th, and actually it'd be the 17th. So it stayed bullish basically from this 212 area all the way until it turned bearish here around 362. So that was a big move up in QQQ. So we can see that the indicator went from +1 to +3. And so when it's at +3, that means 4 of the indicators are bullish, 1 is bearish. And then it was at +5 for a long time. That means all 5 indicators were bullish. And I'll go ahead and open this up so we can see a little bit of detail here. So we went to -3 there on January 20th. And that basically means 4 indicators turned bearish and 1 indicator was bullish. And we can see now all 5 indicators are bearish. So QQQ is on a bearish signal right now. And if we look at some other ETFs like IGV, you can see that it turned bearish here in early December on the 7th and then consolidated and broke down again. So it's in a clear downtrend here. But there are ETFs in uptrends. And if you're following the trends, you'll see that you'll get in the stronger stocks. Here's XLE turning bullish at the end of September. Kind of got a breakout there, and it is near a new high. So it is clearly leading. And then if we look at regional banks, I believe they are on an uptrend signal. So there we can see also turning bullish at the end of September with a breakout there and holding fairly strong right now. All 5 indicators are bullish. So I went ahead and just ran a rough test in Amy Broker, testing trend signals in the S&P 500 on a portfolio of stocks. And this is just to give you an idea. And this is kind of in general how trend following strategies perform. Now, I went from 2007 until now. And so this period does have a bear market in 2008 and into 2009, but it's pretty much been a bull run since March 2009. We've had some dips along the way. We had the COVID crash. We've got a weak January here now. But overall, it's been an exceptional run. And so these stats are better than average, I would think. And you can see 47% of the signals were winners, 53% were losers. The average profit was 22.67%. The average loss was 7.22%. And so this is pretty typical for a trend following strategy when we look at the raw numbers. So as you saw from that, that was a good run from 2007 until now. But in general, realistically, you can expect 40% winners, 60% losers. But the average gain is typically 3 times larger than the average loss. And that's how you make it a winning strategy, by having a good gain-loss ratio. And of course, it works when trends develop, but when we go through choppy periods, there are going to be whipsaws. But the idea is that a few good trends are going to pay for those whipsaws over time. And this is just the very beginnings of a trend following strategy. There are other things to consider as well. And this is where trendinvestorpro.com comes in, because I specialize in trend following strategies. And in the next few weeks and months, I'm going to be unveiling a trend following strategy based on the trend composite and the Stochs close indicator and the ATR trailing stop. We're going to combine all three into a strategy using ETFs first, and then I'm going to do that with stocks. So here's the main analysis page, and there's a link for free analysis, and the URL is trendinvestorpro.com/free. I've got an article every weekend, and I also update the trend composite signal table for the S&P 500 stocks, And so if you go to this table, you can see which stocks have triggered new uptrend signals and which have new downtrend signals. And I update this every Saturday at the end of the week. And so what I've done is I've done a sort by percentage change. And there are the biggest winners based on trend composite signals. And you can see these signals are over a year. These are trading days. Ford, we have Signature Bank, and Devon Energy. You know, you probably wouldn't have found Signature Bank if you hadn't been using this strategy because it doesn't come across a lot as far as the news feed is concerned. And then if we click that column again, we can see the biggest losers: Penn National Gaming, Gap, Twitter. Moderna triggered a trend signal 21 days ago, and it's down 36%. You can do a number of sorts here. Now, what I've done is just a sort by trend here, and there's a count rank over on the left-hand side. So we've got uptrends, and so we can scroll down and we can see when those uptrends end. You can see the green color is going to end in that column there with the number. That's the actual trend composite number. And so we have 293 uptrends basically, which means 211 downtrends. There are 504 stocks in the S&P 500 because a couple of them have these Class A, B things going. But 58% are still in uptrends, 42% are in downtrends. And then going back to the top of the table, you can click on the recent signals to see the new uptrends and new downtrends. And then there are the number of days since the signal. And there is a link to a chart at stockcharts.com if you want to investigate that further. Do your own due diligence. But check out this page every weekend for the latest trend signals. And there we go. We have Fox Corp, Class A, Class B. That's why the S&P 500 has more than 500 stocks. So if you'd like to know more about trendinvestorpro.com, you can click on the link below in the description. Again, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Stock Charts. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with Stock Charts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.